Well, hi again everybody, welcome to my latest video. One of those videos that I did out of a matter of circumstance. Our washing machine here stopped functioning. So what I had to do was troubleshoot it, and it turns out that this GFCI breaker had actually popped. So I reset it, but it popped again shortly there afterwards. So this has happened before, where a GFCI, which is really a breaker used to make sure that there's no leakage of current between the hot lead and ground itself, is detected, and that usually happens if there's water exposed to some of the contacts, which a washing machine could do. So I'm going to replace this. I have a replacement one sitting right here. Didn't cost that much, only about $5 or $6, and it should be just fine. I do have to make sure that this is not a live outlet. Now I could just pop the breaker, but that's not going to help me here because I'm going to be on the other side of the breaker. You're touching the live wires potentially. So I got my little tester that I've shown in previous videos to see whether or not it's hot. I expect it is because I didn't turn off the main power. You just pick any one of the outlets here and plug this in, and sure enough, we're hot. It's well wired, so we know it's properly wired, but it is hot. So let me go downstairs and correct that. I will turn the breaker off so we can replace this breaker. Okay, going into my water and utility closet. Open up the breaker box. And which breaker is it? Oh, it looks like the one that's labeled here, number 15. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the bottom. I will come in here, find that breaker. 1, 2, this is a double, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one here without the label is the one that's it. Let me turn that off and go back and make sure that there's no power. Okay, so I'm back here again, and now there's no lights, so the power is off. With these breakers too, I could have showed you the other way. Without popping it, there's a little green light here that would be on if it has power. And this was working, it just can't take the load of the washing machine. So you plug something in here at a low load, it works fine. My wife was charging the battery-operated vacuum cleaner here just a little while ago. Okay, let me set up and get the tools and get ready to actually replace this breaker. Okay, I now have all the tools that I wanted to get together. I have both a Phillips and a straight edge screwdriver. I have both a electrical long nose pliers and electrical cutters. So I'm ready to go. Well, let me take a look at the actual device first that I bought, make sure it matches what I need. So let me open this up. Yeah, that's it, except for I didn't get one with the red and the black buttons like the original one had, which is okay. It has the same purpose. It does look like this is a little bit wider, but I just noticed something. This thing did come with an actual plate for it, just in case there was a mismatch. So that can clearly go in place of what I have there. Okay, now I'll put this aside and I'll open up this and we will get it ready to be replaced. Okay, that's the old one off. Now I've got to remove the actual outlet from the box that it's in. Blue plastic box, very common in modern construction. This wall is fairly new. It's only been here just a few years. So what I always do, I always put electrical tape because I was the last one to replace this. So we have electrical tape protecting the connectors. That way, just in case it was live when I didn't expect it to, this would protect me. This is the neutral side, the white side, and this is the hot side, the black side. So what I need to do now is remove that electrical tape. Okay, let me take this electrical tape off. What I usually do is I take the hot off first. So this black wire is going to come off first. That is the only one that can really hurt you. Even though I know the power is off, I want to be careful about it and follow my precautions that I always follow. So I'll take this off. Let me take the long nose pliers and get this thing out of here. Nice electrical long nose pliers with a nice insulated grip to it. To open it up a little bit, it's very thick wire. This is a 20 amp breaker, so this is actually 14 gauge wire, as I shown in a previous video. So I take this and I push it out of the way up here. Now I can go to the other side. And I do the same thing here. Do not touch that one. Avoid it. That's a habit you gotta train yourself to do, okay? So we will remove this screw. Not remove it, but take it out as far as it has a stop to it, but you can go past the stop. I don't intend doing that. So I'll try to get this out of here. 14 gauge wire is pretty thick. It's one of the problems with the larger gauge wires, because solid wire, 14 gauge is still pretty hard. I'm gonna have to straighten this all out. That's another thing that the long nose pliers come in handy as. As for this one over here, looks like it's a little too long to start with. I'm gonna cut off a little piece of it right here with the electrical diagonal cutters, also with a nice insulated grip. Now, the last one you have to do is the earth ground. I have two earth ground wires coming to this. The power is actually going through these little pigtails because there's another outlet. It's not an outlet, a switch to a light is over in this direction here. So now let me get this last piece of wire off here. Doesn't matter if I touch this one, that's ground, that's neutral. That's not gonna hurt me. But the other one could, so I gotta be very careful of it. Wiggle and jiggle until you get this guy out. It's out. They are the same. This is the bad one. Don't get them mixed up. And this is the good one. It comes with the screws that are needed so I can dispose of that entire thing. Now I got to reconnect everything, and I'm going to do it in reverse order. So the first thing I want to do is open this up and get those screws into the neutral. I'm going to put the hot last. Get that screw out as much as I can. And now I got to take the long nose pliers again and get this thing at least formed into a little loop. Try not to undo them, not unravel them in this case, as I get this on here. So now let me squeeze these together again and tighten it up. Okay, that's mechanically secure now. Now for the easier ones. I'll do the white one first. The one that's brass colored, that's the hot. The one that looks silver, that is the neutral. Got to open them up, of course. I didn't do that. That's where the diagonal cutters come in. You get this up underneath here and you push it right in place. And then I like to tighten it down just a tad. If you're going to wrap that around there, that makes the most secure connection. And then you tighten it up. Now the hot. Oh, by the way, you see these two that are wrapped in a yellow tape? That's very important. This one can be used to control ground fault circuit problems on two different outlets. The one that's here, and you can then put another pair of wires here, actually a triplet including the earth ground, over within your walls to another outlet. And then this one will protect two outlets. That's what that's for. They leave the tape on it to tell you that is for the satellite. You shouldn't put anything on there if that's the only outlet you're using. So let's open this one up, just like we did before, unscrew it as much as we can. I'm touching this one last. As long as you don't touch anything else metal in the building, you could actually touch this even if it was hot. As long as you got nice rubber sole shoes on, you're not leaning against a radiator, and you're not touching anything else metal, especially this bracket here. Just to be safe though, I'm going to handle it as if it's hot. So I just flipped it in there, and I'm only going to touch it with the long nose pliers with the grip. So I'm going to try to bring that together like that. So I wrapped it around that screw just like I did with the neutral. And now I can tighten it. Again, I'm holding only the grip of the screwdriver, and I'm tightening this guy in there. And there we go. Now to be safe, I put new electrical tape. I got a roll of electrical tape here. I'm going to wrap new electrical tape around the connectors. So I usually start at the top and then wrap it around. I make sure the hot goes first, and then I wrap it all around. You have to dodge around these screws a little bit. You cover all the connectors, including the neutral, although it's not as important as the hot. Dodge around this. I like to go around twice until we're right back to the top where we started, and then I cut it. Now we're really safe. I mean, I could actually touch this even if it was hot, it would not matter. So now we got to push all these wires back in here. They're stiff. Push them all back in. Get a nice push in all the way to start, as much as you can. Because the screws, you don't want to put too much stress on those screws. And then once you got it on in there, then you can reattach the screws to the out. Okay, and now we can get these screws started in here. Sometimes they're a little bit tricky to get them started. I'll try to start the top one first, and I'll go to the bottom one. Try to center it in the box. So now we just have to put the cover back. Get this brand new cover that came with it. Let's put it in place. Not too tight. These things break very easily, these plastic ones. If it was metal, you had more leeway with that. But a plastic one, do not make these things too tight. Just enough to get it in, like that. If I put the tester back in, let's make sure I have reset pressed though, because there's a test and there's a reset. This is test, this is reset. Let's get this back in. Of course, there's no output. Let me go downstairs and turn the breaker on. Okay, it came on just like I expected, and it's wired okay too. The two yellow lights are on and the red is not. So the job is done. Okay, that concludes my replacement of this GFCI outlet. So now the washing machine can operate safely at this point going forward. If you got something out of this video, found it useful in any way, do me a favor, at least consider subscribing to my channel. It would be very helpful. Thank you.